recording
please.
purposes.
Yes, yes, please. Sorry about that.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Yeah.
Thanks. So everybody else has been putting up their sign. I'll put up mine.
Yeah.
My wife found some model to do it, so.
All right, well, just to go through the procedures, you will have 45 seconds for your opening statement, 45 seconds for your closing statement. You'll get about 90 seconds to respond to each question. Mr. Flincham is going to keep track of the time. And yes, you have a 15-second warning and then a stop. And before we get to the questions, you will have 45 seconds for your opening statement.
My name's Bob Weiss. I'm a West Point graduate. I also have an MBA from Boston University. We moved here about 6 years ago. Somebody asked me what's my motivation for running for the Board of Education. I think it's pretty much what everybody else in here looked like. I just got really upset when I found out about the deficit that the board was running. But before I get started, I want you to think about something. This is a large business, $750 million business with 81 or 79 divisions. Who do you want running the board of directors of that kind of corporation?
Thank you very much, sir. Question 1. What do you believe is the top priority facing the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board right now? And what do you believe will be the top priority facing the school board after the general election?
I'm going to take a different approach than I think the few people that I heard. My approach would be, or my thought is that the biggest problem that the board faces right now is the reputation of the board and the system and the confidence that the general electorate and the taxpayers have in the school system. I don't think the people that I've spoken to, and I've been through Clements, Louisville, all over the Winston-Salem portion of the county, that the taxpayers have any confidence whatsoever in the Board of Education or in the school system today. And I think that is the #1 issue that has to be taken care of. What was the second part of the question?
The second part is, going forward, what would be the top priority after the general election?
Well, the top priority, I think, whether it's after the general election or even now, would be doing a forensic audit. For those of you that don't know what a forensic audit is, it's a very detailed audit that looks at every single transaction to make sure that there was no fraud or misuse of the funds. And I think that is crucial because there are people that have used, that are in current leadership positions that shouldn't be.
Thank you, sir. Question 2. If elected, do you agree responsibility as a school board member includes monitoring the school system's finances each month and taking corrective action if needed?
That's pretty basic. I think that's obviously one of the main roles of the school board is to monitor the finances as well as monitor the curriculum and other things. And how you do that obviously is with an auditor who is an independent outside auditor reporting to the Board of Education, not reporting to the superintendent. That auditor should report to an audit committee. The audit committee should be made up of experts, not just people from the community, but they should be people from the community who are experts in auditing and finance. They should not necessarily be electrical engineers, pastors, teachers.
And the second part of that question would be, what corrective action would you take if needed?
Well, the forensic audit would identify where problems occurred, when they occurred, and who caused them to occur. If you look at the numbers, it goes back all the way probably to 2017. And there are people in leadership positions throughout our county that were in Board of Education positions back in 2017 who are in leadership positions. And I think those people need to be identified. Whether there's any action taken against them, that's a different issue.
All right, thank you, sir. Question number 3, what action should the school board take to rebuild trust with parents, taxpayers, and staff?
Obviously, the buzzword or the dog whistle that you're going to hear all the time is transparency. So what does transparency really mean? It doesn't mean just taking spreadsheets and finance reports and throwing them up onto a website. It means taking them and turning them into a easy to understand, well-written document that the non-financial, the non-audited person can understand. That's got to be done. It's got to be done in one central source, not expected to go out through Facebook or through Instagram or then to a website, but one source, one location that parents, teachers, taxpayers can go to and find the answers easily and in English.
Thank you, sir. The enrollment in the school system has been decreasing. A projection has said in 2026 going to 2023, the enrollment will be from 51,000 to under 45,000 in 2033. How will you make it more desirable for the public to re-enroll in the school system?
That's a great question and something that I probably can't answer in the time that Tim's going to give me here. But why will the decrease continue to occur? It's interesting. It's not because people are pulling the kids out and sending them to private schools. The private schools that are in existence have been in existence here for years. What's occurred is we've lost businesses and we're going to continue to lose businesses. Forsyth County has to have an economic driver that brings companies into Forsyth County. I read something this week. The last 6 years, North Carolina has been in the top of states to attract companies. 3 of them, we've been the #1 state. Last year, we attracted 35,000 new jobs coming in, not just last year, they're coming in. Not one of those jobs is coming to Forsyth County, not one. Now, we have to clean up this school system because part of being an economic driver is the school system. No big corporation wants to bring their children or bring a company here because their employees do not want to send their kids to this school system. So we have to become part of an economic driver. Also, we have to ensure that the medical school, what's left of Reynolds American Tobacco, and what's left of Haynes stays here. If any of those 3 leave, that will also drive people away.
Thank you, sir. Question number 6, how will you handle the pressure, the scrutiny, and controversy that comes with being a school board member? And how will you handle the severe financial mismanagement and loss of confidence from the parents and taxpayers?
This is a great question. I spent 28 years on active duty in the Army. There is nobody in this room, there's nobody in this county that can throw anything at me that hasn't been thrown at me by a chieftain of the Taliban or a chieftain in Iraq. I've negotiated with those people and that can't be done. So the pressure's not an issue. After my time on active duty, I then spent 25 years in the corporate world. You guys can do the addition, you can figure it out. I'm 76 years old. Why am I doing this? I've been a servant all my life. My parents were. My dad was a doctor during World War II. He was a doctor in Korea. My oldest brother also went to West Point and served 28 years on active duty in the Army. My next brother went to the Naval Academy. He was killed in Vietnam. My next brother went to the Merchant Marine Academy. He went into the Navy. He was a smart one. He actually became a lawyer, and he's the one who's making money. And then I did what I'm doing. So there is very little that anybody in this county or on the Democratic side of the House can throw at me.
All right, thank you, sir. Question number 7. The mission statement for the school system is, we will engage students in a high-quality, relevant learning experience so they can graduate with interpersonal, academic, and workforce skills to compete locally and globally so they can contribute to society. Is our current school system doing that? And if they are not, how would you address that and how would you correct that?
I think we're doing a fine job in some areas, but as Tracy Lester said earlier, I've been making the point in every speech I've made, every document I've written, and on my website, that vocation and technical colleges and programs are crucial. I grew up in the 60s when high schools had vocational high schools, vocational programs. Not every child wants to go to college. A lot of kids get bored with the college prep courses, and that's one of the reasons why we have a 30% truancy rate. We got to give vocational and technical programs that mean something. We just closed 2 schools. Turn those into vocation high schools and teach kids how to weld, teach kids how to be plumbers and carpenters. The United States cannot make the number of ships that we have allocated for budget right now. We have to go to Korea and to Japan to build our Navy's ships right now. That's a disgrace. And it's a disgrace because we don't have kids that know how to do welding, carpentry, plumbing, or any of that kind of work. That's crucial to the future. It will also help our truancy because it'll keep kids in a different type of program because they won't be as bored or feel as ridiculed as they do. That's what the studies say. It's not me making that up. The studies say that the kids are bored and they feel ridiculed when they go into their regular schools.
Thank you, sir. Question number 8. The school board unanimously approved a plan to deal with student mental health. Prior to the plan's approval, data from 3/4 of the 2024-2025 school year were presented to the board by a department that oversees this plan. The plan showed that suicide safety assessments and behavioral threat assessments from the 2024-2025 school year were trending higher than the previous years. In our current school year, a student was killed at North Forsyth by another student. A loaded gun was found on the campus of West Forsyth. Given the safety, security, and mental health failures that were just listed, if elected, what proposals will you make to address these issues?
You know, one of the biggest problems that Forsyth County has and Winston-Salem has are the gangs. For those of you that haven't looked at the numbers, there are 600 gang members in Winston-Salem. Then there are 2,000 in the orbit, 2,000 kids who are generally the tweens, those kids that are 11, 12, up to 14, who are in the orbit of the gangs. The police department and the sheriff's department are doing as good a job as they can taking care of the gangs. But if you look at the number of policemen that are helping in the gangs, I think there's only 6 in the whole program. That has to be addressed. As far as the schools are concerned, the resource officers have to be trained by the state, by the sheriff, to understand how to deal with these children. The assistant principals, who are also responsible for safety, have to be properly trained and properly identify the kids who are the ones that are bringing in the guns and the knives into the schools. They have to be identified through...
Try one more time.
They have to be identified, I think, through the sheriff's department and through the police department to identify where the gangs are prevalent, who the gang members are. They know who they are, and I think that's crucial. And then lastly, I think the specialists are crucial in it to identify the kids that need mental health. And lastly, I'm on the board of the Salvation Army, and we bring kids, 160 kids every day, into the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club. And I think that after-school programs are crucial.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. That concludes the questioning. You will now have 45 seconds to make your closing statement.
All right, I told you most of the things I probably would have said anyway, but again, I spent a lot of years on active duty in the Army. I've led troops in combat. I have had lots of stress. I can feel comfortable. I know there are a couple of combat soldiers here in the audience, Zach in the back, Mike over here. I honor those people. I honor my time on active duty was the greatest time I had. Why am I doing this now? Because I feel it's just a crucial thing for our community. My daughter, my son-in-law, my grandchildren are here, and I want Forsyth County to flourish. Last thing I want to say is a report just came out about where vouchers are being used. They're primarily being used in the 5 major Democratic counties in the state of North Carolina.
Thanks, sir. Let's please thank Mr. Weiss for coming to the stage. Appreciate it, sir.